Cavan is a typical rural Irish town. It was founded in the 10th century by Clan O'Reilly. They built a castle on the hill overlooking the town. And I think that the phrase, the Life O'Reilly, came from those people. Like all clans, they had a certain amount of money. I think they may have lost it when the English arrived. I think they may have borrowed it. I think they probably owe it back to us now.
I'm a leprechaun from Ireland. And what do you want to go back?
Cavan has actually been called the piss pot of Ireland because we get a lot of rain. Cavan County is very famous for its lakes and rivers. And we have a lake for every day in the year, so we have 365 lakes, not counting a leap year. Cavan really took off in the 60s with the introduction of TV, which was a major thing in Irish life. We saw the BBC, we saw the Beatles, and it was like looking at aliens from outer space. To see long hair was just an incredible thing. There was none in Cavan, you know. Well, there was with women, but there was no long-haired men. That was your dream, to let your hair grow over your ear. You took what was called a slagging, but who cares? We knew we were right. Cavan at the moment is a hive of cultural activity. For some reason, we're having our day in the sun. And out of that, these young lads called the Strypes appeared. I'd like to think that they followed a generation of people like me, first generation Beatle fans, and they are carrying the torch.
I'm just dumbstruck by these four little kids from Cavan. It's like E.T. or something. Or the Close Encounters suddenly dumped them down in Cavan. You're like a messenger from somewhere saying, this music is alive and we're bringing it back, and I love them for that.
They're destined for stardom, there's no doubt about that. And they're going about it in the right way.
With the Strypes, over from Cavan.
The band's literally been about 17 years in the making. That it's like, yeah, we all go back so far. Myself and Josh, in particular, I've known literally since I was born. Like, I've known Pete my entire life as well.
We get on like a house on fire because we've known each other for well over a decade. Well, myself and Evan and Josh have now. And like, we all went to school together and our parents were friends.
The boys hung out a lot together at our house. They listened to whatever music we had in the house, so you know, we didn't force it on them. It wasn't a conscious thing.
My dad and my uncle are big music fans, and my uncle has a huge record collection that he has been kind of building since the 60s.
The greatest recorded music in the history of the world is in this room. Pride of position is the Strypes, who are showcased alongside the great Buddy Holly, Paul McCartney, Wings and the Beatles, and they take pride of place now in this room. Anything in this room that the lads ever want to listen to or borrow, it's available to them.
Quite envious sometimes when you see them listening to something for the first time and getting such pleasure from discovering something new and becoming, you know, energized by it.
Evan would have always been like drumming from the age of maybe 2. He'd always have to have a drum kit. So if we went on holidays to my sister in England, he had to have a London kit. He'd have to have something to play. Josh would always come over, always with a guitar.
I was about 6 and he was about 5. And we used to just jam all the time and just sort of play Beatle tunes. My favourite guitarist is actually Angus Young from AC/DC, and that was just because I was kind of reared on him and reared on AC/DC when I was a kid, and my dad was a big fan.
AC/DC, Iron Maiden. I liked a wee bit of distortion. What's in the dog is coming out in the pup now.
I haven't gone to the shorts yet.
I never pushed them, never pushed any of them. The only rule in the house was no guitars go into a case and no piano lids can be shut. Everything's there. If you get an itch, pick it up and play it. In 1988 and 89, I worked with Evan's dad, Noel. He played in a band called the Fireflies, and I was the roadie.
The Fireflies, with a Y, as in Fireflies in Duck Soup, Rufus T. Firefly.
Did okay. Played around the country, played a bit in the UK. And
they were very, very close to being signed by CBS, and it was a major disappointment because there was a great pop album in that band. Maybe the lead singer wasn't sexy enough. Maybe the songs weren't good enough. Maybe the band weren't good enough.
I'd say it was Niall's haircut. Had a lot to do with it. And during that time I met Peter Senior. Me and him got into a band then.
I'd be much more into the sort of the B.B. Kings, Rory Gallagher, more guitar, more blues.
And then I met Noel, which would be Ross's mum.
I was in, I think, 2 different bands with Tommy, Josh's dad. And then I had 3 operations on my throat, so that's it.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't speak for 12 months because of an operation that went wrong. So Ross didn't speak really until he was 3. Because he didn't hear his mum talk, he decided not to speak.
I just sang because I was able to and I liked doing it. I just sang around the house, sang in the shower, sang, you know, everywhere.
And then years later, our creations came together. Our drunken moments came together.
First time we got together, myself, Evan and Pete, musically was this Christmas concert for school. Tommy, Josh's father, rang up Dad, said we're putting a band together. We've got Josh, we've got Evan, and we know they like hanging out with Pete. And he's the only one we know that'll be up for it to sing. Not that I could sing, I'd never had any experience with singing, but they said he's the only one that has enough of a neck to do it. Like.
All the little acts went on and all that, and then the boys came on with attitude, as if they were going on to Shea Stadium or something.
We were kind of under guidance as well from my dad, who kind of took the biggest interest in, you know, helping us out and show us how to be a proper band.
In walked Captain Farrelly. I jumped up with my pistols and I shot him with both barrels. Marshal ring on the dude on the dime. Whack for my daddy-o. Whack for my daddy-o. And there's whiskey in the jarro.
It's that fantasy that you have when you're 8 or 9 to go, I'm going to be a rock star, I'm going to be rock and roll, I'm going to be the coolest fucking dude ever, that kind of thing.
You really got me going. You got me so I don't know what I'm doing.
It became very evident as we learned more and more songs that he couldn't sing. He just couldn't sing.
The Strypes were actually playing a gig in the Gonzo Theatre in Cavan. And they wanted like young support acts, like around their age. So we convinced Ross.
My dad bet me if I got up and sang that he'd give me €50. It was scary before I went in because I was a very shy person. But there's €50 in it from me, so I had to give it a shot.
Josh rang me and just said, what do you think of Ross joining the band? And I said, oh yeah, well I don't mind, what'll I do? And he said, well you can play guitar, you can just do a bit of that. Noel sent a video clip of us playing into RTE. They liked it and they said, oh, did the boys want to come down and do an audition or whatever?
Literally a month later, I think they were on the Late Late Show.
Prime time telly kind of thing was his very second gig.
At that gig, I would have been 12.
Please welcome from Cavan, the Strypes.
She was just 17, you know what I mean. And the way she looked was way beyond compare. So how could I dance with another? Oh, since I saw her standing there.
Then we started practicing loads, where we'd go after school and from 6 o'clock to 12 o'clock at night.
We went in of our own volition. It was kind of just, this is what we do with our friends as we rehearse. Never feels like we're there to do work.
At that point then we started playing gigs in Cavan. I was very shy, I was very nervous.
He said I was always too nervous when I was singing to look at people in the eye, and I didn't want them looking at me, and I didn't want them knowing that I was looking at them. So now I said, put on a pair of sunglasses, you can close your eyes, you can look at a pair of tits if you want. When he puts them on, he transforms. And he seems to stand different when he's got them on.
One of the first gigs that I wore the shades on was a festival in Monaghan called Flat Lake.
I had to ring the other parents and get permission because the boys were at school and doing homework and stuff.
Mum was like a bit, oh, but you've got these exams in a couple of days. But she was cool about it, she'd let it slide and let me do it.
That was the first time people outside their family and friends had heard them. The tent started out with 20 or 30 people in it, and by the end of their set it was jammed with 400 or 500 people going crazy.
But something happened that day, and every single one of us, when the gig was over, all looked at each other and said, there's something special here.
We'd spend an awful lot of time just looking up bands and reading about bands and finding information about bands.
We would just sit for hours on YouTube and going, oh geez, I've seen this clip, it's mega, we should try that.
I've got love if you want it. I've got love if you want it.
You can see how a band dressed, see how they act, see how they perform, see how they interacted with their audience, see what their audience was like. You can look into any decade so far of live music and pick all the best bits and put it all together.
There's always been computers since I've been born. And yeah, I don't know what it's like for them to not exist.
We first got into bands like The Who and The Kinks and The Beatles and all that, and we went forward to the 70s.
I saw you out the other night.
The whole pub rock scene was what finally clinched it for us and said, right, that is exactly what we want to do. Bands like Dr. Feelgood hit us really hard. This is just about these songs that are amazing when played live, played with a guitar, bass and drums, and a singer that's mean as fuck.
You know what you're saying there, baby? You shouldn't have done it that good, you know? You're gonna get a little mad with you. Yeah.
That was like just this huge obsession. It particularly hit the other three. It didn't really hit me that much, but the three lads just went shit crazy over the Feelgoods. Then it worked really well with us, that sort of vibe, you know, just that really fast driving blues.
We did some videos with Finn Keenan. He used to babysit Evan.
Early in the morning by the break of day, that's when my baby went away.
Finn posted those up on YouTube, and people outside Cavan saw them, and there was a guy who ran a club called the Retro Revival Club in Dublin. He offered us gigs. We were really taken back that kids this young could get a gig in Dublin.
From Mick Jagger, who's coming in now?
And they travelled the country and they played on the back of lorries. They played in tents, they played at the side of the road, and they honed their craft to the fine tune it is now.
People couldn't believe that it has to be manufactured, that I was pulling strings and sort of a showbiz dad, if you want, but it wasn't the case at all.
There's people saying, oh, this is some dad living his dream through his son. It wasn't that at all.
It doesn't fit any hair.
Just so happened that he was in a band himself and knew the ins and outs of how a band had to work.
We started to record demos and stuff, and then we decided to record an EP.
Young, gifted, and blue. That's our new EP.
In the morning time, late in the middle of the night.
A friend of ours just had a little machine and we made it in his granny flat. One of the tracks was You Can't Judge a Book by the Cover. It's an old Bo Diddley tune. And Finn made a very smart video to that.
Judge an apple by looking at the tree. You can't judge honey by looking at the bee. You can't judge a daughter by looking at her mother. You can't judge a book by looking at the cover. Oh, can't you see? Oh, you misjudge me. I look like a farmer, but I'm a lover. You can't judge a book by looking at the cover.
We released it ourselves. We printed up like a few hundred copies and then we put it up on iTunes. And astonishingly, the day after we put it up, it was #1 on the iTunes Blues chart. And then the video got a huge amount of attention. It definitely played a huge part. So before we knew where we were, the Late Late Show rang us. It's a big deal in Ireland to go on the Late Late Show.
You can't judge a book by looking at the cover.
I think about 2 days later we got a phone call from the president of Universal Music Ireland saying that he'd seen the band on the Late Late and would we come in for a chat. Within about 10 minutes of being in the office, he offered them a record deal. You know, he said we're the best Irish band he'd ever seen, and you know, he was just knocked out.
They were offering an Ireland-only deal.
Didn't warrant us leaving school, so then they passed it on to the UK. And then in September we went over to London.
Keith Allen found out about us and contacted us saying, would we like to come over? We knew him because we grew up watching him in Robin Hood. He was the Sheriff of Nottingham.
Get on with it then!
First time we went to London, we had 3 gigs in one night where we played Gaz's Rock and Blues.
It was the club where the Kinks played in it a couple of times in the early 60s, which was a big buzz for us as well. We thought that was really cool.
I met her in the club down in Elton.
We were playing there at 11 o'clock, and then we were due to play at Ronnie Scott's at 12:30. We played an hour in Sam Moritz Club, hectic crowd going mental. And then we had half an hour to break the gear down and run up the street with the gear. We had like grasping drum parts, drum cymbals and wheeling amps and everything, grabbing and running them up the street to the Ronnie Scott's gig.
People trying to put us down, talking about my generation, just because we get around.
Jeff Beck was in the audience, which was mad because we're big Yardbirds fans. You know, I think it was Josh in particular, Josh playing the guitar. I think he pointed and said, "That's me." We barely had time to breathe then because Gaz appeared in Ronnie Scott's and said that the crowd weren't leaving until we went down and played another 45 minutes.
So we had to drag the amp and everything back down there.
The stage was stormed a couple of times.
And then there was a fight broke out actually.
That was the first kind of London experience, and it couldn't have been a better one purely for, geez, if all the gigs are like this, we're quids in, like.
Monday morning you find themselves back in school doing geography or Irish, and you know, so we were all aware that it was very hard for any kid to concentrate on boring schoolwork.
It just became a hassle to try and do school. You know, go away for a week gigging across Ireland and England, have people say, oh, this band are the next big rock and roll band, this is something special. Then go back in and be told you missed your homework, detention. It was just horrible.
So there was quite a battle to sign the boys. The early gigs we did from London, so many industry people would turn up that the public couldn't get in. It was A&R men coming out your ear.
We saw the first bad side of the industry. People that were just seeing dollar signs in their eyes, I think, which was a bit annoying because they weren't there for the love of the music, they were there for the business opportunity.
We started getting a lot of offers from all these record companies, and it became ridiculous in the end.
It seemed like we were negotiating with absolutely everybody. It started out that I was doing it, but I sort of realised that, you know, I was out of my depth. And so we started looking for management. Before I knew where I was, I had a phone call at home.
I phoned Noel, who was Evan's dad. I said, come to lunch, must come to lunch, I want to meet you guys.
He rang me from LA, and he was lovely.
I went to see them in Brighton. It was like someone had their front room removed, and there was still an aquarium in there, and there they were in this place. We all sat and watched them, and it was electrifying. You just can't believe what you're seeing, these four cherubic little kids up there kicking ass and just delivering the most stonking set. It was kind of like someone had spiked your drink with acid and you were just hallucinating. And it was like seeing the Beatles. It was the energy they had was so incredible. Their knowledge of history, of blues, R&B, I thought I had a great knowledge, but they knew everything that I knew. And I just thought it was so incredibly inspiring to find four young kids who were so into this wonderful form of music that most people had forgotten about. Most young kids of their age wanted to be Justin Bieber or some manufactured piece of crap.
And that's the point we're trying to get across. We're trying to create an alternative for you know, all that false manufactured shite.
There's no creativity in it at all. It's
People
just
like that aren't in it for musical satisfaction or gratification. They're in it for, I'm going to make money out of this, and I'm going to have a class life, which is completely disgusting. Fuck yous.
It's not good enough for us.
We signed them to our management company pretty quickly because they were very naive and wet behind the ears, and I wanted them to have the best management possible so that they wouldn't get taken advantage of and make mistakes.
I thought it was the right thing for the boys, again, at their age, that it was a family thing. The image, I suppose, of band managers doing deals in toilets, you know, with a line of cocaine and stuff, you know, that's the thing I was obviously terrified as a parent.
And the line for that whole year was the singer was only 13. He was still squeaky voiced all, prepubescent, there was no ball dropped yet.
When I saw them, I just thought these are the most remarkable musicians I've seen pick up guitars. You'd always see people talk about that and go, they're incredible players for their age. And it was just like, no, they're incredible players. I remember hearing expressions like One Direction with guitars, which seemed a million miles away from the band I was watching.
They just did cover versions, which is what we all did. When I was with Bluesology and Long John Baldwin, there were no original songs. The Beatles basically was mostly covers.
What was very annoying earlier on was people were saying, where's all the originals? Like all the songs a 16-year-old could write were probably going to be cliched and shit anyway, so we'd rather not play them, play the covers that we knew how to do well.
They're an amazing band, they look great, their musicianship is off the scale. The one question was, could they write great songs? And hearing Blue Collar Jane, to me, proved that they could.
By this point, we had every record label trying to sign the boys.
Noel sat us down. He said, I'm sure it's very hard for you to take in, but our kids are one of the hottest properties in music at the minute.
Maybe the age thing came into it there from my point of view. We needed some security because we were taking them out of school, and so we went with the major. We chose Mercury. Mike Smith was the A&R man. Mike impressed us.
They were signed for a reasonable amount of money. There was a lot of people that wanted to get into business with them.
As parents, we had to sign for them. And that was the one thing that we felt was really important, that the boys are not to be rushed. They have a talent that needs to be nurtured, not shoved, not force-fed. We did need to know that this definitely wasn't going to be a sensation. Let's push it for 2 years. When they lose the baby looks, we're gone. No, these are our kids. That's not going to happen.
The deal was that it would be a slow development, and that's where the 5 albums came in. There was 2 firm and an option of another 3 albums. And that was sort of the vibe, that maybe the 3rd or 4th album would be the crossover album.
It takes the pressure off being signed to a big major label. The kind of band we are, you couldn't expect to prove yourself and establish yourself with 1 album. So
But second album?
Second album, yeah, if you don't
God.
get it.
They stayed at school right up until they signed their deal.
The decision was actually in the end taken by our parents. It was October 2012, came home for the Halloween holidays and was told when I came home from school that I wasn't going to be going back after the break. I left age 15, turned 16 and didn't go back, which was nice.
Hiya, you well? Can I sign out Ross Farrelly, please?
Doesn't look like you'd be needing it.
Nah.
You can go back to school, but you can't go back to doing this. So when you have the opportunity, you have to take it. I hated school, and I'm completely glad we don't have to do it again. Well, we might have to, but hope we don't have to.
All the teachers keep calling out Ross Farrelly, and we'd all laugh and say, Miss, he's in China. He's in Japan doing a gig. He's not coming back to school. He's famous. Do you not see him on telly? They were like, well, we still have to call it out. It's official. I know he probably won't be back, but he might be if it goes wrong for them.
If I had said no, or Brian had said no at that stage, we'd never forgiven it. He'd never forgive us, I wouldn't have forgiven myself.
As parents, we all were aware of the fact that there are no jobs, really. I mean, you can break your back sending your kid to college and, paying fees and whatever, and they come out the other end and they're going to have to go to Australia or the UK or wherever anyway.
With the state of the country being so bad, it's like, what else are you going to do? For a lot of our school mates, there wouldn't be that many opportunities.
If I didn't have this, I wouldn't have a clue what I wanted to do. My best mate just lives out the road, and he doesn't know what he wants to do.
It seemed to make the most sense in the world to just quit and just kind of give this a go.
There's a huge amount of businesses closed down. If you drive out the road, you'll see all these fancy car showrooms all closed down, all empty.
There's so many of them around. 10 years ago, you'd nearly have to get an appointment to get into some of them. And now they're just sitting empty, and same in every town. Sad.
Like every other county in Ireland, we've got ghost estates.
Because nobody's buying, you can buy entire estates for the price of one house, £80,000 or £100,000. It's amazing how much the country is fucked.
We had a boom here during the late 90s, and unfortunately people were inclined to get carried away.
But the lads probably benefited from that. They grew up in a very affluent time.
People bought second properties, and there was no end of money. And now they're all stuck with it. And a lot of them have lost their homes. Even friends of my own lost their homes and have gone down the drain, and to no fault of their own, really. They were told that's the way to go, Buy a house, buy a car, buy another house, go on a holiday, live it up.
We didn't start the band to go, right, this is going to get us out of this no money economy, but it's been incredibly lucky that we do have this chance to be able to do what we want, be creatively satisfied, and be able to make a career out of this economy that just can't help us at all.
Jane lives in 54. Always got a teacup when she knocks upon my door. She just wants some milk and sugar.
Positivity is what's required, and they seem to be oozing in positivity at the present moment. And when you have success of that nature, it gives the entire region a boost, a lift.
Part of the thing that put the other parents' minds at rest was that I would travel everywhere with the boys. They legally have to have a chaperone, so there was no sense in paying some stranger to be a chaperone. The deal I did with Rocket was that I would chaperone the boys, but also be still involved in the management, more on the creative level of the direction of the band.
It's not like embarrassing to have Niall around because we're proud of how he helped the band and we're proud of his input.
I don't think we could do without him. He's been there from the start and we'd be lost without him.
He's very much a part of the reason why we are who we are, because all the parents kind of funded it, invested time. It'd be a shame to kind of try and throw that back in their face.
Niall was the only man for the job.
Do you know what? If Noel wasn't there, we wouldn't let them outside of the country, or do you know what I mean? No way.
He has the patience of a saint. I wouldn't. And he's a dad.
I was the fifth Firefly. I think Epstein was probably the fifth Beatle. So Niall is the fifth Stripe. He's back in the rock and roll world, and it is a joy to watch because he's living the dream.
When you have a group like this, guiding their career is really very, very essential that you do it in the right way. It's basically the songwriting that's important. It always has been. You have to give them the time to do it, and you have to give them the guidance to tell them they can do it and the confidence so they can do it.
Every artist in the top 40 is writing with somebody else to come up with their songs. We did work with some writers initially, and they weren't happy with the process.
We did 2 writing weeks. Absolutely zero material came out of both of them.
From the get-go, we didn't want to do it, but they'd asked us to do it, and we just said, yeah, well, look, we'll do it, just to see, whatever. But we kind of wanted to do it ourselves.
The writing experience really has been both a failure and a success.
Yeah, it's a success.
It was a success in its failure to impress us.
Yeah, it was.
Because you get that thing where you just go, oh yeah, I could do that. There was that sense when we first signed that they could think, oh, we could turn this into a boy band thing, but that was very quickly set aside as being complete bollocks. When we told them, if you tell us to do something that we think a boy band would do, you're going to get a slap in the face.
When we were going around the record companies in the first place, we get all these people saying, we love it, but we'd like to change absolutely everything about it until it's completely unrecognisable and lost what it had that we saw in it in the first place. Josh wrote What a Shame all about that.
Josh got the bug for writing songs. He just loved it, so we kept doing it and doing it.
We ended up going from having no songs to I think the album has 8 or 9 originals.
Josh comes up with the kind of lyrics and the melody, but once he presents a song, it becomes the band's song, and it's our right to do what we want with it. It's nice to know that the songs belong to everyone.
Whoever writes the main body of the song gets the main, and then the other 3 share.
But it's a band thing, it's a gang, it's your 4 friends. You were friends before you were a band, you'll be friends after you're a band, which is what it's meant to be. Like, I'd hate for this band to split up and end us not talking to each other. Like, it's the 4 corners of a square is what we are, and the band would be at a total loss if any of it was to go.
Never been in a situation where we're in a band that people don't get on or people don't like each other, which is the case with so many bands. Oh, you cut me there.
I won't say they've had it easy, but right from the word go, when we left Cavan, people were falling over about them and everywhere sold out. Like, we talked to friends who were in bands who were starting to tour the UK, and they'd say, oh, we drove from London to Newcastle and there was 8 people at the gig. And we've never had any of that. The boys never have experienced that. They haven't had to rough it at all. Nothing compared to people maybe living in a squat or not having any food.
And I think that's what is a mark against the band in England, that they just came over and were suddenly selling out gigs and had label interest straight away. People were going, well, that's what makes me think it's a manufactured thing, or that's what makes me think it's not a proper band, because they had everything handed to them.
there is a little bit of begrudgery.
They're going to give you a hard time because you're young and you're good looking and you're fucking talented. And they feel much more comfortable working with musicians that are not prepared to step up and take on the challenge of being the biggest band in the world.
People are always saying, don't lose your head or whatever. That's a big thing for us, is to not lose our heads and just, stay as ourselves, no matter what we go through or do. A bit of success is fine, but the lifestyle thing is something that we don't buy into for a second. The idea of suddenly disappearing to the mansion on the hill in LA or something like that isn't something that I anyway would entertain at all.
We're still taking our very first tentative steps towards being a successful band, but in no way do I ever want to be a big rock star that's swanning around in 7 limos and all that sort of shite.
We're not into that rock and roll lifestyle as being sex and drugs and alcohol and, getting partying and all that sort of stuff. We're not into that.
It's an incredibly easy thing to avoid, I'd say.
You can just go back to your hotel room and do nothing. You don't have to get involved in any drugs or whatever happens.
I dread all that. I hope he doesn't ever. In a way, I'm glad, right, that they started off so young, because obviously they couldn't drink or they couldn't do drugs or whatever that I know of. They didn't need them to go on stage. Well, they know they can do it without any help of,
It is a worry. Hopefully they've got strong enough characters to, get through it.
People think what we get up to when we're away is really kind of cheeky and we're all partying all the time, when we're not.
Fuck's sake.
We're too tired to do anything. We're too young to get in anywhere, first of all, because all the papers are saying this band are 16 years old, so when we go to a pub and they go, oh, get away. No, where are you getting in? Like, I saw you playing here last week, you can't get in. The illusion was completely shattered of what a band is like. It is very tiring and it's not fun all the time. And we didn't even bring Scrabble, like we were fucked.
Japan is a huge thing for the boys, and that obviously started online, and we started getting feedback from people in Japan very early on. We went to Japan and the shows were sold out, and we'd never been there, never released a record.
They went to Japan and did so brilliantly. Sold a lot of records, had people running down the street after them, which was what we wanted.
I hated that. I found that very annoying. I'm uncomfortable with people trying to make a fuss out of us. I find that really embarrassing.
There's no need for that. Please stop. Well, we're just shit kickers from Cavan.
Okay, we got the drugs now. It's the best education is being able to see the world at face value rather than read about it in a book.
It's better than sitting in school where you're taught a lot of things that are genuinely irrelevant to living in the real world.
It is different as well, leaving home so soon. Like, Evan's gone from me now, and so he's gone from the age of 15, really. As a mum, it's a big sacrifice, and because Niall's involved, he's gone as well. Emotionally, it's been quite tough.
I'm literally watching him grow on YouTube. Thank God for it, the internet, because we would miss out so much. Because they're travelling so much and everything, and to us it's very important because every time I watch YouTube I see, a little bit more confidence.
You're so great, you're so fabulous, so great, wonderful.
I used to hate where I lived. I just thought it was an arsehole of a town. And you go away and you kind of get homesick and you come back and then you realise that it is really nice. And it's like, the lakes and the forest and all. look, just, you're beautiful, like.
It provides a very stark contrast to kind of life on the road, to coming back here, to walking the dogs across a kind of a country lane. It'd be very much a home bird, helps keep you grounded.
When he comes home, there's no rock stars in our house.
Oh, they're just normal Cavan lads. They're not big superstars anymore. They seem to be able to just turn it off. I think I spend most of my time when I do see Josh sitting on the couch in my house drinking tea, eating biscuits and stuff, just rubbish, just stuff you do, everyday stuff.
You get back and you don't know what to do with yourself, because if I wake up at like 10 or 11, all my friends are in school and my family's in school or at work, so you don't know what to do with yourself. You feel unemployed or something, so it's weird to get used to that when you're home.
The other worry I have is that, to a certain extent, they miss normal development. That period of adolescence, girls and hanging out and being bored, which most of us, if we're honest, were.
But I still feel quite like I've missed out on a couple of years as a teenager. And a steady girlfriend is like even more difficult.
Some of the best looking girls in Cavan are after Josh, I think.
I have this little pink guitar in my house that no one knows how to play, so it's just there for when Josh comes over to, yeah.
Strypes are the best thing since Cavan.
They'll always be from Cavan. Doesn't matter what part of the world they're going to be in, they'll say, we're the Strypes and we're from Cavan. They'll always be Irish, like, you know.
Definitely feel Irish, because we are.
I suppose the challenge we have is trying to get radio play in the UK particularly.
They're kind of unfashionable in a way, because there aren't that many bands that play this sort of music. In a way that works for them, because there's nobody quite like them out there. But when it comes to radio play and stuff like that, it's a little harder.
It's a little bit confusing for us because at the gigs we have very young demographics. In the beginning, lots of middle-aged mods really got into the boys, but we have played all the British festivals and clubs and the crowd has got younger and younger.
Shortly, we will be kind of heading off to America for the first time.
I'm very optimistic about America.
I can't wait to walk the streets of America and just be in this place. Like New York, I'm particularly looking forward to, because I've seen all the films, It Was a Wonderful Life, Home Alone, all that kind of stuff. Like, to be able to go, this is the streets that it was all on is amazing. Like, professionally, I'm supposed to take it all on my stride, but I'm kind of going, America, can't fucking wait.
Hello, and welcome to LaGuardia Airport. You are now on the arrivals level of Terminal B.
Chewing out the rhythm of my bubblegum. The sun is out and I want some. It's not hard, not far to reach. We can try to rock away, beach.
I think most bands want to break America. It's important. It's still the biggest market out there for music.
Rock, rock away, beach. Rock, rock away, beach. Rock, rock away, beach. We get it to rock away, beach.
America went really well. Reviews were fantastic and the buzz about the band is really great.
There was a feeling of something happening. The gigs steadily started to get bigger and bigger crowds until in LA it was sold out.
There was endless after-show parties. I kind of go out more, and the guys don't really go out, so sometimes I get a bit detached from the group. And sometimes it's bad because I kind of wish that we went out and just socialised everybody. I'm buzzing and there's loads of pretty girls in the audience.
Hey, you gotta do that. You gotta do that. It's rock and roll.
The boys were voted best up-and-coming international act, South by Southwest. From that, they were booked to do the Letterman show.
Yeah! Buddy! Pleasure to have you here. Fantastic.
I never ever would have dreamt that one of my kids would be on the Letterman show. For God's sake, that was just incredible.
The Strypes, ladies and gentlemen. How about that? Now,
I think in general, America just seems to be taking off. I don't know, way quicker than I expected anyway.
I feel good about America. I feel we've got a great base to go back. It was well worth doing.
go bring me my shotgun. Oh, I gotta get shooting again.
It did take a big chunk of time out. It would have been nicer to have started the next record sooner.
I love you all with the short hair. It's good. It looks fantastic. It looks like mods. Looks great, doesn't it?
Good. Yeah, it's good.
And yours too.
I like the short haircuts. Everybody looks sharper. I'm going the opposite. I'm going to go really long.
He will have hair like this soon. I keep telling him. He will.
The beginning of the year was amazing, but I feel a bit worn out with touring. Because we've done the same set list all year, I'm just sort of itching to change it up and do new stuff. It feels like we're stuck in a bit of a no man's land. This first album cycle is finished, but we haven't really started the second album, so we're sort of in this horrible sort of purgatory at the minute. We had like a month off in May to write and do some demos for the second album. Mike, our A&R guy, came down to have a listen to the tracks.
I felt there were 2 or 3 there that were really good. But I felt that the rest weren't up to standard. And I think it was a blow to be told, guys, you're not ready to record the album.
We wanted our album out September. That's not going to happen.
It's a bit like the postnatal depression.
It's just sort of slowly gotten not as good this year. We've got enough songs to at least start. We just need to get into a studio. Like, there's no point in faffing about. It's just bullshit.
Well, if we'd have done that, it wouldn't have moved them forwards. In fact, it would have moved them backwards. And it would have made life very difficult for them carrying on.
I talked to Mike about it, and he just said, I think that you can write better songs and have a better album than this. So that put me in a really good place, actually put me in a real positive place, where I just thought, oh, you know, why am I settling for these songs, you know, when I can write better songs?
In the beginning, the idea was the third or fourth album would be the crossover album.
I might come in and think, oh, well, lads, you know, this second album needs to be the crossover album. What the fuck's a crossover album? You just release albums that you're happy with.
I'm finding myself getting into quite heated debates with them about the music. I'm believing these to be the right decisions. I don't want them to be making any kind of mistakes. But at the same time, they have to feel that they are very much in control of their own destiny.
They made to sell more records on this album than they did the last one. And I'm positive they will.
It is a bit of pressure. I don't know if it's going to be... I mean, the first one wasn't big, but I'm not sure if we'll even surpass that.
You wake up on a low ebb and you just feel like one wrong step leads to another, and you end up just being like playing in dive bars again. It's a complete reality check. I thought it was going to be huge. And I thought that the gigs would be huge and we'd have loads of money and, you know, whatever. I thought all that, you know. A lot of people did think it was going to just blow up. For whatever reason, it just didn't.
The label's focus is trying to break Radio 1. We wouldn't really have thought that was so necessary.
I think that the label are right to want us to be on Radio 1. I want to be played on Radio 1. I want to be played on every radio station and every TV station. I want to be the biggest band ever, you know, and that's what you should want to do.
I don't think a band should bend or change in any way due to the influence of a record label or someone higher up changing it because you want to be on radio and you want to become famous is wrong.
The top priority is to just make an album that we're satisfied with. I don't see the point in doing even one song that I don't derive enjoyment out of,
Otherwise, you know, I might as well check out.
The trepidation going into it is scary, and you don't know, are the label right or are we right in sticking to our guns? Because, you know, as I say, I think if you put out a dud album, it's kind of hard to recover from it.
The label are putting money into it, and it's a relationship. There's no point in saying, oh, we're going to be this band and we're not going to listen to anybody and we're going to do this, because it's bullshit. You have to. It's all a fucking game. You have to play it.
I suppose that none of us really thought, you know, when you sign a record contract or whatever, that there would be that amount of pressure to deliver. You would hope that it doesn't, you know, implode, you know, that you really, you know, that they get the chance to develop their own style and, you know, and are allowed to be what they want to be.
We're trying to fight for the right, get the boys time to develop as writers. You know, Josh is the main songwriter, but who's to say that Ross at 16 isn't going to start writing songs, or, you know, Evan or Pete.
It is a horrible fucking pressure, because you think, shit, if this album's no good, it's my fault, because I wrote the songs. At the same time, you kind of want that pressure because you want to be a good writer and you want critics to say, this is a really good album and these are really good songs.
He grabs me by the collar, he knows I got a fake.
I want to be the writer, you know, it's just no point in, you know, saying that I don't, because I do want to be the writer.
Well, when Josh sent all the songs over, there was some that I absolutely loved and some that I didn't really like at all. He must have his own reasons for writing them, but some of them I just don't get.
I'm musically in a different place than everybody else, and I'm listening to a lot of other things that the guys aren't listening to, sort of hip-hop and some really heavy stuff.
That's obviously an interest that he has, but that, you know, can't really affect the band. The rest of us wouldn't be willing to be pushed in the direction that we didn't want to go.
When somebody doesn't like it, you go, well, you know, fuck you, you write it, you do it. For a while it was sort of getting me a bit down, because I was thinking, shit, I really like these tunes and the label like these tunes, and they're trying to, you know, make me a better songwriter or whatever. And I feel like it's progressing the band on a bit. At the minute is like 3 very similar opinions and 1 completely different opinion on what it should sound like.
We always said, you know, oh, we've been around each other for so long, we know each other really well and that kind of stuff, but I think it's kind of come to pass that you don't know someone until you're both under severe pressure and stress.
Any other inputs on? Any other thoughts? The other 2 boys?
Really, no. Everything's been said.
If this all goes tits up, will I get a job, or will I go to college, because I don't have any qualifications? I didn't even do the junior cert, which is, you know, the most basic thing you can do.
The band is 100% everything to me. I don't have a big social life. I don't live in Cavan. I wouldn't go out with friends, that kind of stuff. The band's on my mind all the time. It's this is my thing. How do I make this thing my life? You know, it's hard.
You know, the decisions we make as a record company affect their lives at a very young age. I take that responsibility incredibly seriously. You know, I want to make sure that they have the best possible experience of the music industry.
She's the bag, she's the leaf, she's the sugar, the full cup, baby, like no other. A happy hour, no last order. She'll take you up when you think that you're falling. It's so strange, but you don't even know me.
It feels great, I suppose, to actually have some sort of progress in a situation that we're actually here in the studio in London doing recordings that, you know, potentially could be on the final album. In many ways, that's putting an end to a long period of frustration and uncertainty about the future and stuff.
Yeah, it's come really good. It's really different than the last recordings we've done. It's just heavier. There's more of a Zeppelin influence than a Feelgood's influence. Everyone's delighted with it. The 4 of us are happy with it, and the management are happy, and the label seem happy as well.
Josh has really written some great songs for the new record.
Pete started contributing songs as well.
It's different, it's more commercial in a way, but they're just growing up basically. And it's affected what they've written, and it's great. If it hadn't, I'd have been very disappointed.
The tension between Josh and the other guys is what makes for much more interesting and exciting and original music.
It was tense as fuck. And then it all just sort of came to blows one day, not physically, but everyone just had it out. Then it was just like, well, everyone knows how everyone feels. Let's grow up and move on.
I'm in a more positive frame of mind now, especially because we've done a couple more tracks that we're really delighted with. I think it's going to sound like the same band has made another album, but it's not going to be a reproduction of the first one.
Sooner or later, you're going to have to all, I think, maybe one day move to London.
Maybe, yeah.
Because if you want to make it, you have to make that leap of faith. Are you up for that or not? It'd be hard,
Not at
right?
the minute now, but...
Not, I don't think at the minute.
Yeah.
I think maybe in a year's time.
Well,
maybe.
you can't say
When
for
a
sure
year's-
what you're going to
yeah.
be thinking in a year's
When
time.
the time is right, you'll know it. They all live here in Cavan. The next move is for them to get away from Cavan, to go to London, the big city, where they become men. You need to have fun, you know, have girlfriends and stay out late and get a little drunk and jam with other people or hanging out with Paul Weller or people like that, listening to their advice. Couldn't be better for them to do that. That's your rite of passage, really, and that's the next step for them, if they want to be a serious band.
I don't know if people will think, oh, it's not as good now because they're older and it's not as shocking.
We're not men yet, but I think we're getting to the age where at 17, 18, it suddenly becomes a bit more acceptable to be in a band.
Above all else, they're an incredible live band. The opportunity to get out there in front of their audience again, that's what they've been longing to do. I've got no doubt that when their audience hears these new songs, they'll be excited about it, and these new songs will open them up to a much broader audience and bring more people into it.
Who knows, we might fall out, we might completely hate each other and leave the band, but I just hope that doesn't happen. Even if it goes all downhill and stuff, you still have the rest of your life, and you can look back on it and say, you know, I done that, I done this.
Thank you.